The member for Herbert.
Yeah. Mr Speaker, my question is to the Minister for Social Services. My electorate has a very mobile population and Australia's childcare system is vital. My constituents are asking me how we can make savings from the family tax benefit system and how this can help them with childcare. Minister, can you outline the answer to that question for me?
The Minister for Social Services.
A very mobile and intelligent electorate, member, with excellent questions like that. And of course, it was the case, Mr Speaker, that when originally the childcare reforms were designed, they were designed in their first iteration by the now Treasurer when he was Minister for Social Services, and he also bore the responsibility for finding the savings inside the family tax benefit system to pay for those reforms. It's now the case, because of machinery of government changes, that there is a Minister of Education who has taken responsibility for childcare. But, Member for Herbert, as you'd be well aware, the genesis for the changes that we've suggested for childcare, which you are well aware need to be paid for with appropriate rational savings out of the family tax benefit system, found their genesis in the Productivity Commission, who noted that 165,000 Australian parents said that they wanted to and would work more, but felt that they were unable or inhibited to do so because of the access and arrangements surrounding childcare. And they're the 165,000 Australians that we are working very hard for, that we have devised a plan for, that we wish to assist in engaging in the workforce. But as you've noted, member, and as your constituents are no doubt keenly aware, that has to be paid for, and perhaps it's timely if I give you a response that relates to the procedural mechanism by which that payment will occur. We had a rare event in the House last week where members opposite agreed with a savings initiated by the government. Doesn't happen very often, but it did happen last week, and that savings was with respect to a mechanism to at least pay for some portion of that childcare spend. $500 million $525 million worth of savings was agreed to by members opposite, which we'll see in the not-too-distant future family tax benefit B end for couple families when their youngest child turns 13. And they will be making a contribution, $500 million worth of contribution, to sweeping reforms to childcare. It's now the case, member, as you're aware, that we have the legislation that would be before the House this week with respect to all the details on the childcare package, but that is a very significant expenditure of money and it has to be paid for. One of the benefits, member, that we have seen is that the expenditure is slightly less than expected, that there is less generosity to those on higher incomes and better targeting of the childcare on lower incomes. But what I want to assure you, member, and your constituents is that whilst Mr Speaker, through you, whilst the childcare package needs to be paid for, and whilst only part of it has been agreed to in terms of the savings by members opposite, the remaining savings will be back before this House this week, with some slight modifications, and I've sent some legislation to the member for Jagga Jagga, and that revolves around excluding the small group of grandparent carers and single parents over 60, both small groups, and we've been able to do that because the spend on childcare, due to the work of the Education Minister, is less expensive than we thought.